my name is Mary Opondo. I'm from Kenya. I'm currently a master's student pursuing my gender studies, master's in gender studies at Memorial University. I came here in 2021 and it's been like probably 3 years now since I've been here. I'm here with my son. It's been quite a ride. From my perspective, home means the people that I'm around with. I love being around community. I love being around family. I'm an ambivert, I would say. I'm introverted and extroverted, and most of the time my extroverted side usually takes over. And so because of that, home for me is the people around me, and not just in Canada, because I've grown up having traveled in different spaces at different times. So it meant that a piece of home to me meant the people that I could communicate with, connect with, and socialize with. So home for me is about the people. If you ask me in my perspective here in Canada, am I home in St. John's? I would say somehow yes, because I have managed in this 3 years to be part of a loving community of friends from different backgrounds, different cultures. And home for me, for the first time actually, when I landed in St. John's at 2 a.m. in the morning, you know, that famous flight on a cold October with all the clouds and the rain and stuff. And I didn't know that there were no Ubers in St. John's. So I was there, I'm like, no Uber? What kind of place is this? But I was like, I need to make it to my accommodation because I had to get there somehow. And I approached an immigration officer and I explained my circumstances. I was like, okay, so I thought Uber was here, but there isn't, and I don't know how to call a cab. So could you please call a cab for me? And this kind gentleman looked at me, said, welcome home, and was like, I'll call one for you and I'll wait with you until it comes and I'll tell you which one it was. So that for me felt like home to me, like the warmness, the warmth that this person approached me with, and the kindness. I mean, if you've traveled around the world, immigration officers are not always the most kindest, probably from the tough day at work and everything. But this person was the first in St. John's to tell me what kind of home I was expecting. And he was kind, and this would go on like as I was orienting myself, walking down the street, and everybody would just meet you, talk, want to know where you're from, out of curiosity, you know, share their stories. Sometimes they would tell you too much, but I was like, oh wow, they're sharers. Great. But it's a great thing because it made me feel like this is a place where you can be comfortable to talk about anything and to talk with people, because they were able to share, and as a result I was able to ask questions without feeling guilty of not knowing. Sometimes, you know, I think this is an ignorant question and they'll be like, no my love, you've done so well, thank you for asking, and they'll go along and explain it to me. And so in a matter of fact, I felt like St. John's has kind of been a home to me. For me, belonging would mean being able to be in a safe space where I'm able to share my ideas, my thoughts. I'm able to interact. I feel safe. I feel secure. I feel not judged. And I feel that my child is able to thrive, right? Because for me as a single parent, for example, I have to look at it from the context of no one is judging me for being a single parent. No one is judging my child from coming from a single parent background, and that makes it easier for us to feel like we belong, because as a parent, literally your child is your heart. And what I have found in St. John's is, surprisingly, my son feels he belongs here, so much so that when at times I mention thoughts of moving, he's like, we're not moving, I've got to finish school here. And for me, that just made me realize that, well, this is home. We have very few Kenyans in Newfoundland, basically. We're trying to bring them together so that we can have a sense of belonging. We egg the bridges that we want by ourselves, because some of these bridges, you don't burn your bridges that you left before because you're always gonna cross back at them, right? But also I don't usually compare what kind of bridges I'm making here, because for me at the end of the day, I am a community person. I'm a people's person. I believe in the value of having community first. So in terms of bridges, I make bridges as I go along, and I've been blessed to have a lot of awesome people who play a role in my life. And I also maintain some of my bridges by actually going back to the basic unit, my family. Like, I would survive St. John's without talking about my family, because they play a huge role for me. So they are that big connector where if I feel stressed sometimes, I just need to call them. I always feel moving forward is the best. So build the bridges as you go along. I will start with the village mall. I see the village mall being converted into a cultural center. It might sound ridiculous, but that is a vision I've always felt. I mean, it's right in front of a bus stop, and people would be able to share, just a cultural exchange center where people just come and you just talk. African music is blasting, Brazilian music, or even Jamaican music, and it doesn't mean that it's like a judgmental space. It will just probably be a space where people can talk and share. I see our small communities integrating and having more of our businesses at the farmers market.